Welcome to the Monday Monologue, where today we're going to be doing something that is related to the channel, but not necessarily about audio gear. And I wanted to go over what Skunkie Designs is, and how it came about, how this channel even came about, and what we're not. So I think there's some serious confusion out there with some folks, and I see it in some emails, and recently I saw it from a manufacturer posting on a forum accusing me of something. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into back and forth on that, but I thought it was important to clarify for everyone what I am, or what this, it's not even a company, it's just a logo I came up with. And let me just start from the scratch, okay? Skunkie Designs came about, or just the name, when me and my life partner met playing Second Life, which is a virtual world game. And in that game, I play a little pink skunk. And in that game, they have stores where you can design, build stuff that you sell for the game dollars. And I created Skunkie Designs. And it was really fun. I learned a lot about coding, especially like C code is basically what the operating system language, whatever they use in the game to make products to sell. And as most of y'all have probably gathered, I really enjoy learning new things. And so that was a big draw to me, was to learn this programming language. And so again, here is what the storefront looks like. And this was created probably in 2008 or something like that. Since that time period, I did some tutoring with elementary school kids, and I worked with the Arduino platform. I don't know if you know about that. It's a microprocessor platform. And I taught these 5th and 6th grade kids how to write code. And I did that for a couple of years, again, just free. I wasn't getting paid anything to do it. I just, at that point, I wasn't working a lot. I was working part-time. I was kind of headed towards retirement. And so in the afternoons, I would tutor these kids. And that's kind of what got me into kind of more serious kind of electronic stuff. My whole life I've been interested in electronics. When I was a little kid, I had one of those little Heathkit Junior boards with, 50-in-1 projects and that kind of stuff. And so I learned about transistors and capacitors and resistors and stuff, when I was probably 10 or 12 years old. And, I had stereo gear back then. I had Radio Shack stuff. I had some, Mach 1 speakers and their Optimus something. I can't even remember the names of all the stuff. But anyway, so I've been involved with stereo and electronics my whole life. And then the other thing that I've talked about before, another passion, is photography. And when COVID hit, we were on lockdown, and I wasn't working at the time, so I was in the house. Did not want to catch COVID, because at that point, people were dying from it. Several of my friends died from it. So I was pretty terrified, so I just stayed in my house, had groceries delivered, and I was going crazy not being able to get out, because I like people. I like talking to people, and I like teaching people and that sort of thing. And again, my life partner was like, why don't you make a YouTube channel and find something to talk to people about? And so I just really got into tube audio. I mean, I had tube stuff before, but never really dove deep into it, and decided, this is a great opportunity for me to really dive into this tube audio thing, and bought some, made in China tube amps, and it kind of went from there. And I found some little tricks to make the little Noob Sound 6P1 sound better. And I posted them online. Other people were like, yeah, that looks good. And so I was like, I'm going to make some YouTube videos about this stuff. And then after that, I decided to build some amps, do some DIY stuff. And I built the Kegger Blue Glow amp that a lot of you have done. And that really fun. It matched into my skills with fabrication, working with my hands, handiwork kind of stuff. And that was just super fun. And again, in COVID, in lockdown. So it was like, let's do some videos about this stuff. And to my surprise, the channel started growing. And I never intended for this to turn into what it's turned into. Right? And so, anyway, when it hit 1,000 subs, I asked my viewers, would y'all care if I monetize the channel? I know y'all are going to have some commercials or whatever, but, I think if I could do that, then I can afford to buy more, gear or parts and build more projects and stuff, and it would be kind of a break-even thing. And at the time, my viewers were like, go ahead. All the other channels I watch are monetized. I'm not going to hold that against you. Go for it. So, monetize the channel, and didn't realize that kind of triggers the algorithm where YouTube is like, oh, here's a way to promote this channel that has our commercials in it. And so the channel started growing even faster and putting out more projects. And clearly people were liking what I was doing. And then I had a couple of viewers reach out to me and say, and I think the first one was the A12. Somebody reached out to me and said, this thing doesn't sound good. Can you look at it? And I was like, sure. So he mailed it to me and dug through it. And I had been working on my 6SQ7 amp at the same time. And so a lot of what I learned from experimentation and reading, I could apply to that amp. Same thing with the A50. I had just finished my 300B amp. I had just gone through that lame Cascade 6S and 7 front end. And when somebody sent me that amp, it's like, this is that same thing that didn't work on my amp. So let me apply the fix that I did to my amp to it. Lo and behold, of course, it worked. And so that kind of got me some more views and people interested in my channel. And my name was kind of getting around. And to me, it was just a joke calling it Skunkie Designs. And we were even laughing. I went up to the little trophy shop up the street from me and paid about $50 to have some of the little Skunkie Design tags made for my amps. And we were just laughing, thinking it was funny. Now it's a channel that's got 10,000 subs, or very close to it. And like when I did the review on that 100C Techniques turntable, Panasonic sent me an email. Thanks for the nice review. Here's why the auto lift thing's designed the way it is. We know it's not ideal, but most people are okay with it. And I will retract what I said about that a little bit, that I do find it useful, even though it sits in the dead wax for a minute. If I'm like upstairs taking a bath and forgot, it does lift the needle up eventually. So anyway, at that point, people started wanting to send me other amps. And my good friend Willie has an R8. And he called me up and said, man, it just had a flaming burnout, sparks, and everything blew out of the bottom of it. And when I looked up, the tube was glowing red like a light bulb. And so I'm like, sure, I'll take a look at it. And so that's where the whole R8 thing started. And then other people started emailing me, hey, my R8 red plated too. What's going on with that? And probably had 15 or 20 emails of people talking about that. So then I started diving in and went to some well-known websites about, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they had a whole thing about here's how you design a fixed bias tube power supply. And I'm like, this resistor is missing. And yeah, if the pot goes open, the tube's going to go nuclear. And so that's where we got the failsafe resistor mod for that amp. And then I had read both of Morgan Jones's books before I started building amps. And it's like, that's like the Bible for designing and building tube amps. And there's some very specific things that I know work. Like, the heaters should be away from the signal stuff. And you should have the grounding done with a star ground and not have just grounds here, there, and all over the place. And so I just applied like best practices for assembling tube amps, and then some of the really basic stuff, like on that noob sound. It had the same problem with the first cap after the rectifier tube was like a 150 UF, and the tube specifies a 4 UF. And people were saying, hey, these things are blowing up rectifier tubes. It's like, well, of course they are. So that was one of the mods I did on that amp too. And so we've done Noob Sound, we've done Rysong, we've done Wilsonton. It's not like I'm picking out one manufacturer to beat up on. And then when they do come out with something or a revision that fixes the problems, I was probably the first YouTuber to give them accolades for repairing all the problems with the R8. So I don't want to hear people saying that like I'm just bullying on any one thing. I mean, I'm going to give people credit where credit's due. And like I've said, I wasn't real crazy about that little shit audio Loki whatever equalizer box. But then when I tried their passive preamp, loved it. Great little product. And that's not saying that everybody's going to have the same view about this stuff that I am. Especially when we're talking about subjective stuff, or what something sounds like. I mean, specifically, the Wilsonton R8, I think the tubes that come in that amp sound crunchy. They just don't sound that great. And they're known to be cheap tubes. You can buy those 6H8C tubes for nothing on eBay. And so for them to get upset that I'm saying, hey, for this amp to sound really good, you're probably going to have to spend $400, $500, $600 replacing basically all the tubes. And the Gold Lions or those KT88-Zs, which people are running out of, probably because I'm praising on them so much, but a set of Gold Lion tubes is going to run you $400 or more. And then you got to get 3 6SN7s and 2 6SL7s. And trying to find 2 good sounding 6SL7s is like pulling teeth. They haven't made those tubes in years. 6SN7s aren't hard to find, but 6SL7s, there's not many people making those anymore. And so that's just factual that after you buy that amp, you're going to spend $400, $500, maybe $600 replacing all the tubes. And you know what? Somebody that buys it may love the way the tubes that come in it sound. And guess what? They don't have to spend it. But that's my opinion, and I have a right to my opinion that they don't sound good. And there's enough people, if you go to stereo.net or any of these forums that do a lot of R8 stuff, everybody's replacing the tubes in that amp. And I haven't seen anybody saying, oh man, I went back to those Wilsonton tubes because they were just the best. So, I don't know what that's all about. And I just felt like I needed to say something about like what this is. And I guess too, the other thing that I want to clarify, I am not a repair shop. I have never been an electronics repair shop. And while I've done some repairs on amps for friends or one-offs for people that were sending me stuff to do for content for the channel, I've had at least 40 people wanting to send their R8s to me to repair. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. And if you're one of those people, you know I say that. And people are trying to get me to, I want to buy, I want you to build me a 300B amp, or I want you to build me. I don't do that. And just recently, I've sold a couple of phono stages. Yes, they both sold to my Patreon-only supporters. And the reason I did that was a perk for those people. I know a lot of YouTubers that have Patreon, they do giveaways. And when you do giveaways, you have to get all this legal stuff, at least in the U.S., and you have to have a lawyer pulling the winner, and, you have to have some way of entering the contest with no cost, and just, it's a headache. And so I decided I'm going to sell a couple of these at just a little over my cost, and probably $400 or $500 less than they're worth, as a perk to those folks. But that's it. And I mean, I've sold some gear to some of my local friends, but this is not a company. I'm not selling kits. I'm not selling like upgrade kits. People have wanted me to put together like a whole kit of resistors and capacitors and stuff to fix those early R8s. Not doing that. I'm not making any money off selling anything like that. That's not what we're doing. We're basically just a YouTube channel that started out just for fun. And now I find myself in the situation where I've gotten veiled threats from a manufacturer, and I'm concerned enough where I'm probably going to have to create an LLC to put my YouTube stuff under to protect myself from litigation over some dreamed up nonsense. And it's just ridiculous where we've got to in this world, and just in general, that these folks think they can just bully people into shutting up or doing what they want. And, you know, like I said, I'm going to have to get an LLC now, and that's going to probably cost me $400 or $500 out of my pocket. And again, I'm just maybe breaking even on this. I wish you guys could see my Mauser bills from building stuff for this channel. They're insane. And then, I don't know. Just, I'm frustrated. And I don't want to just shut the channel down. I feel like a lot of people enjoy this content. I enjoy doing this. But I never felt like I was a business. I know I'm not. I'm just a person. I mean, look at the background here. You think if I was like a commercial business, I would be doing this in front of this rack of junk down in my basement? I'm just like you guys. I'm just a hobbyist that thinks I finally kind of tripped on understanding how tubes work in a simplistic manner that I could explain to people without pages of mathematical calculations to get something that works. I'm not going to make this some crazy technical engineering channel because I'm not an engineer. I'm good at math and I got a math brain, but I don't enjoy sitting down just going through a zillion calculations and stuff that, you know, and when I see like cosine and whatever, it's like I don't even know what that is. I mean, I never got to that stage of math. I was a high school graduate. I didn't go to college. Maybe people say I'm uneducated or I'm stupid or whatever. I don't care. I am what I am, and this is what it is. And it's just supposed to be for fun, and the fun's getting sucked out of it by people that are pissed off that I'm actually being honest about what's out there instead of just candy coating crap and taking bribes from people to promote products. I could get people sending me all kinds of free stuff if they knew that I would do that. And I'm not saying that I don't even want to get into that drama. But I just want to be clear, I've been offered that and turned people down that like, we will give you 2 or 3 free whatever blank blanks if you'll do a positive review. And I have done some reviews on some kind of oddball stuff. I did one on a little speaker, and they sent me a little multimeter to look at, and I told them, it's like, I'm not promising you I'm going to do a positive review. I'm going to give an honest review of what it is, and if you don't like it, that's fine. And I said, I'm actually happy to send the stuff back to you if you don't like the review. I don't care. It's not, I mean, a $50 multimeter is not going to like change my life. Like I said, this isn't something I really relished making, but I feel like I've kind of been pushed into a corner. And I'm not even going down the road of like naming the people or, you know, arguing back and forth with them. But I did feel like I needed to put out there for public record that this is not a company. We are not manufacturing anything. We're not selling kits. We're not selling parts. We're not selling anything. It's just a YouTube channel supposed to be for fun. I know at one point I was thinking about making amps, but then I realized that I didn't want to deal with the liability of it and deal with just the problems and dealing with product support and all that mess. Because I'm retired, I just don't have time for that stuff. I want to enjoy life. And if this gets to the point where I'm like terrified to post videos that I'm going to end up getting sued, or that, it just absorbs my whole life and is no longer fun, I'm just going to stop doing it. And that's probably why Mark at Blue Glow quit doing stuff. It just quit being fun. And I can understand that. So I do appreciate all of your support. I'm really honored that this many people enjoy watching my content and this many people have subscribed. I mean, I live in the city of Doraville, where they shoot a lot. That's how many people live in Doraville. It's 10,000 people. That's how many people. It's like the whole city subscribed to my channel, which is cool. And that's part of what makes this fun. But again, this needs to continue being fun. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap that up there. I was hoping to go into some music and stuff, but I just don't have the energy for it today. Next week will be more uplifting, hopefully, and be more fun. Hope y'all have a nice day, and we'll see you at the next Monday monologue.